All right, getting ready to part out a PT Cruiser 2005 GT Turbo. It's hit down the side here. I don't know what was going on with these wheels. It's actually looks like somebody somewhat took care of it inside. We'll take a look at that too. Let's get this hood open. Take a look at what we got here. All right, I had to throw my battery in out of my Neon. Everything is pretty stock, pretty clean. I mean, valve cover's leaking a little bit. It's got the plastic intake on it, which I believe is what they did in 05. Oil here. Full, looks pretty clean, pretty nice. Let's check here. A little low. I think this does have a broken radiator, so bringing it up to temp is something I'm probably not going to do based on this here, I believe. Does start, does run. Computer looks like it was replaced. The sticker down in here is pretty new behind the bracket. Why? Who knows? Check this thing out. I did get rid of some of the parts out of here already. We got 113,938. I gotta grab the key. Let's do a finished walk around here anyway. Trunk lid does not stay up. Is a GT. Does have a 2.4. Back door does kind of open. But with a little bit of rust down here, this thing is definitely going to be coming to pieces. It is an all-out scrap job on this one. This was pretty much primarily purchased for the engine. Starts up, runs good, no smoke. No ticks, no bangs. Very, very nice. I don't know why they had the cruise control disconnected here. I will be getting this pulled in and doing a compression test and adding that to the video. But I'm getting ready to pull some parts off of this that someone wants to come pick up, so I just kind of wanted to get a look at this thing and get it on video. I did start this thing up, I did move it around. I mean, you know, with this fender being pulled in, when you try to turn this way to the right, it's hitting in the back, so we're not too worried about turning right with this thing. It does great left turns, but outside of that, it's going to be good enough to get it pulled in. I'm going to pull off what I'm going to pull off, then we're going to get this thing inside up on the lift to get the motor pulled, and we're going to do a compression test and just give it a good look over so that we know we got a good engine. All right, PT Cruiser. Now I would say this ring and this ring on the valve cover were leaking because there was a little bit of oil. This one had a bunch down in there, but it did run fine. There was no issues with that. We got the intake pulled off. So I did clean everything out, blew it out with air line sitting here. Blew it all out with air, sprayed brake clean down in there because I don't want oil in them cylinders to give me a false reading. So, and then I cranked it over to make sure everything was good and dry. Now, so here we go. Hopefully we can see this one. So here we go. Here's this one. Let's go crank it. Okay. Low. That's bad. That's real bad. Okay. Now this is cold. And it is cold out here today. I think we're in the 40s. $130. Battery does sound like it is getting a little low. $140. $140. Let's try this first one again. We'll reset the little chintzy jump pack. Cross our fingers and hope the first one was a fluke. $130. Okay, so 140, 140, 130, 130. That is where we need to be for this mileage and this motor. So I feel pretty confident that that's actually correct. We can do it one more time here. Jump pack left me hanging. Do a reset. All right, that's 140. I guess we'll just do a round two. That was with the battery disconnected. I think I'm good. So, with that being said, I'm pretty confident we got, you know, probably like a 140, 135, 135, and a 140. And that's good compression. I can always try jumping this when I get it out on the floor, and then doing a recompression test on this engine. Or even a leak down. Now, these are the plugs that were in here. They were replaced. You can tell when I pulled it out, oil went down over that one and this one. One's on the ends. And they were running, I mean, it's a PT Cruiser GT, so they were running the stock gap on the plugs. So I'm just going to get them all put back down in there. I'm going to grab some tape, run some tape over this, make sure we don't get nothing down in here. And we were going to work on getting this engine pulled out of this PT Cruiser, and hopefully it can spend its life making an SRT4 fast again. Seems to be the common theme. I'll get everything pulled apart and I'll throw everything in a box, just kind of show you a couple things I ended up keeping. I know out of this it's going to be the entire engine assembly, the front axles, the intermediate shaft, both knuckles, some of the sensors, very little of the wiring. It's just, I can't reuse it for anything. I might try to recoup these two tires off of this side here. I believe they're 17s, so we can pull these two tires because they match. That at least gives me a matching pair of 17s. I think that one's different. This one here might be different too, but you know, outside of that, there really isn't too much. This is my battery from my other car. I'm pretty sure I mentioned that already in the video. The power steering pump will be able to be reused. You know, some of this stuff is just PT Cruiser specific. You know, anything with the tranny, the starter and stuff, that's all specific to a PT Cruiser. Some of these AC units can be used, but I'm not sure what years are interchangeable. But we're going to hack this thing up and get our motor out. Alrighty, we have the engine out of the PT Cruiser. I mean, pretty typical for what you'd expect to see with an engine of this mileage. I don't think this was ever pulled off of here that actually has the seal O-ring. I just gave it a tap. You can actually, there's still some lube or whatever the factory put on there. All the bolts came off for the exhaust. Impressive. I don't, well, we got, yeah, so you can see this one here snapped. That's pretty common. Even on the SRT4s that happens. It's just, I guess, something with the motor. This being newer, I think, you know, it's the metal one. Cam was replaced. There's some aftermarket cam sensor on here. It does need a valve cover gasket. Pretty common. It looks like this knuckle here is going to be bent, so really don't have to worry about too much there. Pretty much this is what we're keeping. We've got a catalytic converter, an ECM and a key set, the fob box, the sensors, a couple bolts. I just have so much of this, and it pretty much just, some of it goes nowhere anymore. I might pull a couple small things. I'm just going to cut this door out. That way I have this lock cylinder. We did find a home for some of the stuff in here. Pretty much just pulled out of the way. I did pull the clock spring for a guy, but you know how that goes. You try to be nice and help out, and they needed it. You take the time to get it, and they just ghost you on the messenger. So that stuff's out of the way. This thing has lots of little parts that are going to be going in here to clean up. Here's how damaged the radiator was, where it pushed it on that lower edge. This knuckle here looks like it's going to be all right. I'm probably going to pop the front sway bar brackets off of here because they seem to get lost or bent because they break. I always get a couple guys ask me for those for the neons, so I like to keep some of them around so I can help out with that. Front side of the engine, I mean, you know, it is what it is. It's the right ear for the AC compressor working, an SRT4 power steering pump. Anything transmission related with the starter, all no good. Any of the wiring, like I said, you can pick some pieces off of this and use it. The lower thermostat housing is the same, the upper is not. So again, not much to save from PT Cruisers, especially this one. I did try to pass off some of these doors for, I don't know, 20 bucks a piece, but you know, we had a bunch of no-shows, so they made sure each one of them got a dent. Some people don't like that. I do got a dent. The hatch, I did offer the entire hatch to someone for 20 bucks because they needed one and they wanted one that was in color and had the emblem and all that stuff. But Messenger Man, you know, 20 bucks I guess was too much for that, so it'll be off to the scrap yard. And same with the hood. I'm assuming no one would want this because the paint's not perfect, but what do you expect? It's 21 years old. Anyway, I think that's enough ranting and raving. I've got a giant mess. I'm going to remove my as I like to call it, large somewhat dumpster, and roll it out and start getting it full of stuff to go to scrap. So with that, it's another PT Cruiser. Not really liking the cold weather, but we got a couple Ram trucks we got to do. There is some SRT4s that I will hopefully be getting the chance to work on this winter. If you've watched to the end, that's a tidbit of information that, well, only you got. So we'll see ya.